Hello, everybody. It's Sandra Pelly, the Sandini, keeper of the inner dragon flame, as well as the galactic shaman. And I have somebody I definitely consider a friend and dance partner, Alan Tutt. He is an extremely magical being. I will read you his short bio that he did send me, although I want to also stress a few other things when we're done on the end of the other side of that. Alan Tutt, author of Choose to Believe, a practical guide to living your dreams, and creator of the hypnotic program Celestial Brilliance: Six Keys to Unlock Your Creative Genius, has recently turned his attention to helping other inspirational thought leaders share their message with the world without stress, doubt, or bad days. Having created dozens of programs that have helped many thousands around the world, he is currently starting a new program of weekly Brilliance Booster sessions to help you polish the lens through which your light shines. And I've known Alan now for, I'm guessing, probably about two full years, if not just a little bit longer. And what a magical being this person is. And it is always a pleasure to get together and have a chat with him. And also just to see all the books behind him. I'm always amazed by that. Anyway, this is Alan.
Hello, and thank you for the introduction. And I am thrilled to be here. I love spending time with you.
That's awesome. You know, I said something about your bio and just before I actually push record, or for those sitting here, about how current is it? And yes, there are definitely those pieces in there. Once I read it out loud, I really recognize, yes, this is parts of what you have done. However, you've been doing a lot of shifting and changing, like you've totally recreated a whole bunch of your world. And you alluded to it when we spoke at the end of the last person conversation, and that alluded to it was something along the lines of, um, this is what I did, but I really recognize that this is what I want to do. So maybe expand a little bit on that so that people really can recognize they have the permission to change their life.
Oh yeah, I mean that definitely in keeping with the whole theme of the summit is growth in motion, and the fact that we're always growing, we're always moving forward. Sometimes it feels like we're moving backwards at sometimes, but it's because we're picking up something we missed. So we're always moving forward in one way or another, and that has been a constant in my life that no matter how far I think I've gone in a particular direction, there's always more to see along the path ahead. And what we were talking about earlier, well, just to make sure everyone attending this and watching the replay understands, I've been teaching manifesting for about 23 years. In 2003, I came online to share with the world what I had learned along the lines of manifesting. And even at that time, I felt like I definitely don't know everything there is to know, but I knew that tomorrow is never guaranteed. We have to take the moment now and do what we can with it. So I came online, I started to share what I'd learned. I continued to learn, and I'm still continuing to learn, which incidentally, just this past weekend, I had this realization pop in my brain. It's like, wow, okay, this and this are not just related, they're actually the same thing. And that just opened the door for a whole new world of understanding. And it's like popcorn popping in your brain. It's like all these little ideas come up, and it's like, wow, it's just a magical experience. But getting back to what you were saying, yeah, I went through this period the last couple of years of thinking, okay, I think I've covered manifesting as much as I possibly can. What else is there for me to do? And I started looking at other options, comparing different options, and then it came down to what do I really feel drawn to? Where's my joy? And then also, the other question that came to me is what moment in my life am I most proud of? And once I realized what moment I was most proud of, it's like, okay, which direction resonates more with this? And then it became clear that I'm continuing along a similar direction to what I've already been doing, just with a slightly different focus. And that's really all it is, just a slightly different focus.
Yeah, let's speak to that because I think this is a really important key for the listeners and for us who are physically here. what I'm hearing is an acknowledgement of something that was like wow in my life and wanting to step into continuing that feeling of joy, whether it's matched, um, is a bit lower, surpasses it, whatever it is, but it's really recognizing that there was something about how I felt in that moment, not necessarily about the moment specifically, I'm guessing. Correct?
For the moment, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You're gonna make me expand on that, aren't you?
Well, maybe I just kind of missed the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, it was more like because you alluded to a moment, it wasn't about, like some of us have said, well, I was on this call, or I was in the shower, or I was doing this, or I was doing that. It was more about I heard more about it. There was the essence of what that moment was that I was most proud of.
Okay, the moment I was most proud of. Okay, I can definitely expand on that because when I asked myself the question, what moment am I most proud of? The first thought that came to my mind is back when I was with Life Touch doing school pictures. And I had gone into this small school. It was in a small town area, rural area, and it was I mean, it was a small school, and I was taking pictures of the different kids coming up. And there was one girl that came in, and she didn't have one of the envelopes as far as buying pictures. Not everyone does, but for some reason, I saw something in her expression and the way she carried herself that made me think that maybe she felt inferior because she wasn't getting a paid picture package. Like her parents didn't care enough for her or something. I mean, it's probably a story I just made up in my mind, but that's how I felt. And so, as the photographer, I have the option to punch in to the camera computer, a small package, so she gets something. But the moment that I was proud of came after that because I go through the normal routine. Okay, and you just sit here, turn your feet this way, do this, sit up straight, look here, tilt your head a little bit, and I'm putting my head right next to the camera so she's looking at the camera lens. And I look her straight in the eye and I say, okay, now show me that beautiful smile. And because I'm looking at her straight in the eye and I put sincerity in my voice, I saw in her eyes wheels are turning, things are clicking, and it's like she had never thought of her smile as being beautiful before. And the smile that came out was just so gorgeous. And of course, I caught it on film. But that was the moment I was most proud of because I helped her see herself in a new way. And because that was what I was proud of, building web pages, that doesn't resonate with helping someone see themselves in a different way. And so I'm continuing on working with the psychology of manifesting, but manifesting something slightly different, manifesting your best self.
I have to take a moment here. I'm caught
It
up in
is
the
a
moment
powerful
of being
moment.
that
Yeah.
little girl being seen. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Being seen, being appreciated, and being complimented all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I just would like everybody just to take a moment and really feel into that moment and feel like you are on the other side of that camera and Alan is looking at you and is seeing you and is asking you to smile. So everybody just take a moment to do that. This is what Alan means about helping you manifest your life. So let's expand or ripple out with that now, okay?
Sure.
As I wipe the tears from my face.
So, so manifesting your best life. Okay. One of the things that I did recently over the last several years, and this happened because I was working with a coaching client trying to teach him how to manifest the things that he wanted in life. And for some reason, we just weren't connecting with each other. He just wasn't getting it. And I recognized that I needed to learn something new in my coaching to be able to tap into a deeper level of his psyche to help him see what he couldn't see. And so I went on this, I guess you can call it a quest, to learn hypnosis at a much deeper level than what I'd learned before. I went into the area of hypnotherapy, where when you truly understand how the human mind works and how to piece things together and how to shift things in a certain way, huge transformations are possible. I mean, for those who don't already know, there's something called a fast phobia cure, where if you have been scared of something your entire life, like some people have a phobia of spiders, they see a spider and they freak out, or they're terrified of enclosed spaces, and it's like, I've got to get out of here. And it's that type of thing. And if you've had that experience for any length of time, you know how debilitating it can be. But a hypnotherapist understands that it's just a matter of certain associations have been created within your mind, and by guiding a person's focus down into that deeper level of mind, you can take that association, set it aside for the moment, and go through a process that takes maybe 15, 20 minutes. And at the end of that process, you can look at that spider, feel being enclosed in a tight space, and be comfortable with it. And that's the power that is available through those hypnotherapy principles. So that's what I went to learn, because I knew that for someone to truly believe that miracles are possible, which is one of the foundational beliefs in order to manifest, you have to believe that miracles are possible. And so I went in to learn, how do I help someone make that connection within their mind that miracles are definitely possible, they're happening all the time. And so that is the foundation of helping someone manifest their best life. Not only to believe that miracles are possible, but to believe that they themselves are capable of a lot more than they thought they were. And I mean, there's a lot of different directions we can go with this, but just one quick example, an example that proves every single person listening to this, listen to this, be very mindful of this. You are brilliant. You're a genius. The only difference between someone at the lowest level and someone at the highest level is a very small amount. It's like we have this earth, and on the earth there's just this thin layer of crust. Well, that's the difference in intelligence between one person and another. There's a very small difference in intelligence. And everyone listening to this summit, you have the capacity for genius simply because of the fact that you understand what we're saying. The ability to understand language, learn language. When you're a small child, you don't understand what words are. You don't understand what language is. You may be aware that the adults around you are making sounds, but you don't understand what those sounds are at first. But through a process of just being present, paying attention, noticing different things, we're able to piece things together to the point where we can finally recognize, oh, they're speaking to each other, they're communicating with each other, the sounds they're making mean something, and then eventually you say your first word, Papa, Dada, Mama, whatever the first word is, and it's like, okay, now you've made the start. Then it's just a matter of learning additional words, learning to piece them together into sentences, understanding them, speaking them, writing them, whatever. All of that takes a genius level of intelligence to do. And just imagine right now, if you went to another country, another part of the world that's speaking a completely different language, you have the same mind within you that you had as a child. You have the capability of learning that language with no help whatsoever. And yet, we put ourselves down because we don't know this other language, or we don't want to spend the time learning this other skill. And yet, if we actually devote ourselves to it, invested the time, we can learn things so quickly, it can truly be amazing. And that's just one small skill. A lot of different ways we can go with that, but everyone has a gift. Again, going back to what Christina does with her work, helping people tap into their spiritual gifts and to learn how to recognize how they're showing up in the world and where your natural talents are. Being able to connect with that and understand where you have value to share with the world around you, and that value is so much more important than what you think it is. I mean, someone who knows how to cook and can just throw things together, you think, oh, well, it's nothing, I'm just doing this. But for someone who doesn't understand that, it's like that's an amazing skill. Chefs in a five-star restaurant are paid big bucks because they are using a gift that they have that they think is, well, this is easy. This is easy. You just do this. Well, not everyone understands you just do that.
I'm loving this, and I want to kind of swing around to um, I want to ask you to give an example. Now you've given us a lot of really great examples that show the basics. Like I used the same type of examples earlier in the summit, talking about shoelaces, learning how to do up our shoelaces, learning how to do up a zipper. So it's really we have the genius. I want you to share an example of, like you talk about the hypnotic and you talk about the manifestation. What is one of those examples of your own life that it was like, oh, wow, like it just suddenly clicked for you? Okay. I think I'm
Um,
going to leave it with that because if I expand more, then I'm going to go into my own stories.
okay, okay. There's probably a couple different examples that I can give. Okay, first of all, this is probably more relatable to more people. For most of my life, I saw myself as an introvert. I saw myself as a loner. I saw myself as the intellectual without the ability to be creative, artistic, or intuitive. Those are different things that I defined as this is who I am. And most of us are taught that you are who you are, and a leopard can't change its spots. If you're an introvert, you're always going to be an introvert. If you are a logical thinker, you're not going to be intuitive. And these are things that I recognize that this is how I have been, but I wanted to be different. I wanted to be the extrovert. I wanted to be the type of person who can go into a crowd and just mingle and connect with people and say, "Hi, how you doing? My name's Alan. Who are you? How can we do something together?" kind of thing. And so this is one of those areas where I was able to go within myself, relax, close off the outer world, go within. Of course, as a loner, that's perfectly comfortable to do. But then I go into that space and it's like, okay, let's change this. It's like, okay, this is how I have been. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. Now there's an empty space to fill. What do I want to put into that space? Okay, I want to bring in this personality. I want to bring that into this space. And then I'm going to project, see myself from a distance doing this kind of thing, being this type of person. And it's like, boy, that guy certainly seems to be having a whole lot of fun. I want to be there. And then put myself into that place, see it from first person view. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm in the crowd. Engaging with everybody. I'm having a good time. People are laughing and smiling and engaging with me. And boy, this really does feel fun. And just to stay with this one example, that is most of the process. You kind of do a few extra things along with that, but we don't have to go into all the details. But essentially, I go through that process, I come out, and then, okay, my wife's in a band. They perform at least a couple times a month, and I run the sound. I'm there helping out the band, and of course, there's a big crowd. And I'm starting to feel different. It's like, okay, people are coming up, talking to me, and I'm not wanting to run and hide. It's like, wow, okay, that's actually working. I can actually engage with this. And then there's the other part of that, which you know that story. I've always had this affinity with music. My wife and I used to go to a dance studio to take social dance lessons, and it seemed like I could never quite get it. And it's like, okay, do these steps, go back and forth. Of course, we never really practiced in between, so that might be part of it. But it's like I wanted to learn how to dance, but I really couldn't get myself to feel like it. Well, a couple years ago, one summer we were out at a park. The band was playing. There was a kind of a dance floor in front of it. There were a lot of people that were line dancing, and I guess you have to know that this band plays 60s rock music. Line dancing to 60s rock music doesn't really fit for me. It's like, anyways, this I could hear that the next song coming up was California Sun. And for me, that represents the essence of the free flowing, free spirit energy of the 60s. And it's like, I'm not, at the moment, the line dance crowd had gone off the dance floor, and I said, I'm not going to let them just take over the floor and line dance to that. I'm going to get out there on the floor. And there are some other elements. We had a pet that had just died the day before. I needed to let loose and get out of my own head. And that was the way I was going to do it. So I got out on the dance floor. I told my conscious mind, bye bye. And I essentially closed my eyes. And you know the phrase, dance like nobody's looking? I had to ignore the audience at that point. So I got out there and it's like, okay, I'm going to dance to the music, and I'm watching in my mind videos of TV shows that I've seen where people were dancing at like Woodstock and that type of thing, and they were all free flowing, and I'm doing my best to just let the music move me. And I was kind of doing a lot of that stuff. And then when the song was done, one of the main singers of the band announced over the microphone, I'm glad I knew the words to that music because I almost lost it. I didn't know you could dance. And from that moment on, I've been getting out on the dance floor a lot more regularly, allowing myself to just move with the music. And okay, maybe I don't have enough connection to those social dances where it's fixed steps and everything else, but let me just get out on the dance floor and move to the music. I'm getting a lot of people walk up to me and say, hey, I really love watching you dance. It's like, okay, thank you. So those are two different things where I had a major change in my personality and the way that I do things, and it has opened up so much joy in my life. I will not, for any amount of money, go back to the way I was.
Um, this is such a relatable story, first of all, because I'm a free flow dance like nobody's watching kind of person to the music, and it's anywhere. I worked at a drugstore where they piped music in, and all week it was whatever it was, and then on the one day a week it was senior music. Well, I still sung and danced in the aisles as I stocked shelves all the way through, like nobody was watching. So this is a very, very relatable story. I really appreciate that you shared it with us, and it makes me realize, or has me realizing, that there were some really simple things that you did. I mean, yes, there might be okay, I did this, 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 but it started with, I recognized I wanted to change. And from that, you made a step, and look at what's happened. And so, in the grand scheme of things, what are you offering people who come to you now? Because now, like you said, this has been 20 years, 23 years of really shifting into, I'm of service to help you do something in your life so you feel like you're doing something in your life, right? And so, with that in mind, what's the evolvement been? Like, what did you first start helping people with? And I'm not talking web design. I'm talking about your of
Right.
service path, I guess. And what does it evolve to?
Okay. Okay. So back January 2003, that's when I first came online to teach what I learned about manifesting. And at first, it was going to be a written course because my concept of how I serve the world is I write a book and I get the book published, and that goes all over the world and lasts forever. So that was where I started writing books. This is what I know. Here are the principles. Here's how to make it work. Here are some exercises you can do to develop this ability. This is the process that I use to manifest the visions that I have for the world. And there's a lot of different ways that manifesting can be done. There's no one right way to do it, but as long as you are following the principles, then it works. And so that was most of that, at least 20 years of that was writing one book after another. Okay, I'm going to write for this audience. I'm going to write for that audience. I'm going to interpret it for this other thing. But then there was also what I was learning along the way. It's like at one point, at first, it's like, well, I really don't understand it well enough, but I do know do this, now do this, now do this, now do this, and eventually you'll eventually get there. And then the book Choose to Believe, that was published 2008. That was all about the core principles. As long as you have the belief that what you want will actually happen, it will, because that's the fundamental aspect of what manifesting is. And then here's a lot of different ways that you can figure out what you currently believe. Here's how you can change that belief to whatever you want it to be. That's where that book was. Then the next book, Harmonic Prayer, that was getting into three factors, not just the belief, but also the elements of focus and what I was calling the feeling aspect. So it became faith, focus, and feeling to get the alliteration going in there. And then that was the foundation of what I did for a few different things. Then I started bringing in the hypnosis element. Here are some recorded tracks for you to listen to and go within to develop these skills. And then again, going back these last couple of years, I started offering private sessions for people where, okay, you don't have to listen to a recording. We can actually work with this on an interactive basis and do it more directly, more simply, use metaphors and analogies and examples that work for you instead of just a general thing. And now, what I'm gearing up to do is I'm going to start a new membership program where there's going to be a new recording every week, but not just a recording. Also, I'm still toying with this, so I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways. There may be a weekly live Zoom interactive event in which the recording is made. And
Yes.
so the people who are in the Zoom thing can say, okay, I want to work on this, I want to work on that, I want to work on that, and I'll figure out a way to try to get the majority of that in that week's recording. So that, and the reason for this, okay, here's the whole reason for it. For most of my career, I've been focused on here's how you develop the skills, now go use the skills. And or here's a process that will give you this transformation, now go live your life. But the problem that most of us run into is that we have this great experience, we feel transformed, we feel like the doors have been blown off the hinges and we have a whole new wide world, but then life happens. We get into situations where we're hearing people talk in a negative way. We're hearing news that, well, if that really happens or goes in the direction I think it's going to go, that may not be good. There's all sorts of things that happen through life that try to push us down. And in order to maintain our belief, in order to maintain our lightness, in order to maintain our light, we have to renew it from time to time. And that's the reason for doing a weekly service where I help people renew their spirit, boost up their brilliance, let their light shine bright, and do it on a weekly basis without using one recording over and over and over and over again, which, as you know, gets rather boring. By doing something new every week, it keeps your interest, it keeps you focused, it lets something new pop in from time to time, and that makes it so much more effective. So that's the new direction that I'm going with that.
I absolutely am so on board with what you're doing here. I will liken it, I'm going to put it in another layman's terms, which may or may not, people may or may not like. This is like the bride in the wedding gown, having the wedding and being just like, oh, I can't believe it. And then going and foolishly putting on her going away outfit. Because at that moment, that everything that you've just went about has shifted and changed. And that's what I'm hearing in this is you're leaning into and creating this beautiful, just like the sacred container that we created for the summit. You're creating a container where people get to live in the experience on a monthly, if not weekly basis. And that is such a powerful, powerful thing to offer and to be a part of. Wow. Love that.
Yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about to compare what I'm doing with what people may already understand, I kind of compare it to going to a spa to get a massage. It's like it feels great at the time. You go back to work, you run into things that are going to stress you out, and you need another massage. So you need to refresh that. So I'm kind of thinking of this Brilliance Booster program, which is what I've actually called it, which is part of the membership, which is called the Radiant Studio. Radiant Studio. It's like having a weekly spa treatment for your soul.
Love this. Love this. So you have a couple things happening here. One you've alluded to already, this beautiful radiance piece, and that's your VIP gift. For those of you who would like to step into the energy of that, that's a month free in the Luminary Radiance Studio where you actually get to experience this on an in-depth level versus just speaking about it, or as he said, the old way of just handing you the material, go do it kind of thing. You're living it and doing it and being proactive on a basis where you're really supported. And then the other gift that you're offering is the Starburst activation. Give us a snippet about what that's about, because I know that there's it's two or three pieces, I believe, to that as well, right?
Right. Yeah, the Starburst Activation Experience. This is a brand new set of recordings that I just created over the last couple of weeks. And the intention here is to help you connect with your own inner brilliance, to connect with that part of you that truly shines bright, to find where your gift is, to be able to release that gift, to clear the blocks so that you can truly feel blessed, gifted, and flowing with the essence of life. Once the blocks are cleared, which is session one, then session two is all about recognizing your brilliance. And I've kind of talked a little bit about what's in session two already here. There is more that goes into that. But by the time session two is over, you know that you are brilliant and you have something of value to share with the world. And then session three is all about finding your mission in life, the thing that gets you energized, the thing that keeps you going, the thing that drives you forward, not from pressure, but from desire. It's like, this is something I truly want to do. Going back to what we were talking about, what's my reason for living? What's the moment that I'm most proud of? What do I want to replicate over and over and over again? Once you find that reason for living, your mission in life, you don't have to motivate yourself. You don't have to push yourself. It's like you see something good that's right in front of you. You know that you have the skills to do it. And it's like, I'm pursuing that. This is what I'm doing. So that's what that gift is. It's a set of three hypnotic recordings. It's about an hour and a half total time between the three recordings. And by the time you go through it, you have a clear connection with who you are, what you're here for, and what your next step is, because that's also part of that third thing. It's not just what is your mission, but what's the next step to help you get there. It gives you the ability to tap into your divine guidance and get clear instructions. Okay, now that you're here, do this next. And that is where I feel the true value is.
Very, very powerful. I have a question. Are there any instructions on the how to, I guess? And when I say instructions on the how to, um, do you recommend that somebody sits down for that hour and a half and listen to all three? Do you recommend that people just do it in their sleep and have it in a recording under their phone and under their pillow? Like what kind of instructions might you give to the
Well,
partaker?
yeah, there's absolutely no reason to do it all at once. You could if you wanted to. It's a very flexible program. You don't have to do it any one specific way. What I would do is, well, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily play it while I'm asleep. Uh, my own experience with that is that I have had very little results doing recordings that way. I'm not saying that it can't work that way. I'm just saying that that has been my experience. My experience has been as long as I'm paying attention to it, then it works better for me. So there's that. But other than that, there's really no fixed. You can do one recording a day for 3 days. You can listen to them all one right after the other for that hour, 20 minutes, I think is really what it is. Um, you can do it all at once. I think most people will get a better result if they do give some time in between those. So one
Integration,
a
right?
day is a great way to do it. You could do one a week if you really felt you wanted to. Um, you can listen to them once all the way through. You can listen to a recording multiple times before you go on to the next one. Listen to that one multiple times before you go to the next one. That's okay too. It really depends on how you feel after each session. If after a session is over, you feel really empowered and enthusiastic and feel like something has shifted, I would say that session has done its work. If you get out of a session and say, okay, I think I felt something, I'm not so sure, that means there's probably a little bit more work to do, and you would probably benefit from going through that again at some point.
Love that. Love that. That feels very, very I'm really glad I asked the question. And I'm guessing this isn't the like a podcast, put it on while you're driving the car and going from point A to point B. This is a okay, you know what, I'm gonna allot some space right now. And again, really coming back to I am important here, so I'm going to allot a space to do this in right now, right?
Right, right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to split your focus between listening to this and doing something else because the split focus, that limits your results. And here again, the thing that I mentioned earlier about this thing and that thing are not just related, they're the same thing. I'm talking about manifesting and hypnosis. They're not just two related things, both based on your belief. They really are the same thing. When you're manifesting something, you're using a hypnotic state. When you're doing hypnosis to change something, you're manifesting a change within yourself. They really are the same thing. And the one most important factor in either one of them is focus. Apply your entire attention to the one thing that you're doing. Because if you try to split your focus, it doesn't work nearly as well. I mean, yeah, some things can work, but if you really want the best out of it, you want to devote your full attention to what you're doing.
I love this because if we come back full circle to literally that moment where you had your face beside the camera looking at that girl, that's what I can really feel is like you gave that person your undivided attention, and the sparkle and joy that came from her was just incredible. And that's what you're offering with this starburst activation.
Right. Yep.
Wow. Wow. This has been magical. I know that we're only like X amount of time into this. What else would you like to touch base on while we're still sitting here, while we're still in this beautiful container?
With the time that I have left, I can share what I just recently realized in these past few days.
Please
Okay.
do.
Okay. So I've been teaching manifesting for 23 years. I've been involved with it for more than 40. And I just learned something about manifesting that has completely slipped through my fingers for those 40 years. And that is part of the process itself. Okay. One of the simplest forms of manifesting is to simply decide what you want, focus all of your attention on this is going to happen. I am intending it to happen. The universe is going to make it happen for me, and I accept it as happening in my life now. That's the core, the simplest form of it. What I have realized is that that can become even more powerful if we put all of our attention in that, then sit back and clear our minds for a few seconds, then come back to it again, put all of our attention into that again, step back for a few seconds, and come back to it again, because each time we do that, we rest in between. It's like we are stretching ourselves, we're applying our muscles, and we're able to put more focus, more attention, more power into that manifesting process by repeating the cycle approach rather than trying to do it all at once.
This sounds very Fibonacci to me. Because like this, like man, oh man, oh man. I could go off on a tangent about what I do with meditations. What I'm hearing though is most important is that when you take a pause and let it be, just be, and then come back to it. Like I can actually, I can physically see energetically, physically energetically, however you want to word that. I can physically see how when I come back in, that pieces have probably been added to what I am manifesting, that I'm no longer at the point where I'm beginning, that there are now like, holy cow, this has been added to it. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, da, 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 da. And it just, every time I step back and back in, it gives the whole experience a chance to evolve.
Right, because when you step back and you release and you just let it sit for a bit, your deeper mind, that creative dreaming mind, understands what you're trying to do, and it will volunteer information of this will make it better, this will make it better, this will make it better, and it gives you something more to focus on that draws you in even more to that vision so that you feel a stronger connection to it. And when you feel that stronger connection to what you are manifesting, you're putting more of yourself into it, making it happen all that much quicker.
I want to share another like what I'm seeing an aha moment here too, and it's because of what you've been saying all along. However, you're suddenly catching it for yourself. You literally have been working with people. You've given them the material. You've stepped back in the pause in live groups or live one-on-ones. You've stepped back and created the pause so that they can do that, and now you're seeing it for yourself. And I love that you're seeing this because it just goes to show that first of all, you can teach old dogs new tricks always, right? And that
Mhm.
it's by continually being on that path that it keeps showing us the little nuances. And if we're not catching it, it's going to keep doing it to the point where we're going to catch it because they've brought it in a different way. I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
When I was
I'm
thinking through all this last night, one word seemed to sum up everything. It's all about cycles. What you're doing here with the summit, it's part of the cycle of the seasons. What I'm talking about with the weekly renewal sessions, there's a cycle involved with that. With this manifestation process, there's a cycle involved with that. Cycles run all the way through life on many different levels. And when we work with those cycles, we can be so much more effective at whatever we're doing.
I love that. I am going to open the floor. If anybody has questions, comments, and I knew Christine was going to be immediately on this, like a white on rice, as they say. Come on in, Christina.
Oh, man after my own heart. I love, love what you do in the world. I feel like we both have a similar shtick and the flavor, variety, and differences. And oh, it just marries so beautifully. I love how you talked about that cycling back and forth and bringing yourself back into that awareness. And for me, the way it sits with me is when a vision is pixelating. You go in and it's like that wisp of that Sierra on the desert illusion kind of thing, and you think you caught a whiff of it, and you step back, and did I really? And you went in, and it gets a little bit more texture to it, and I really saw that play out in the strategy and the technique of that cycling through. And the gentleness that that creates, like a wave on that ocean, just kind of like nurturing you into that awareness and nurturing you into your confidence, even like every time you step back in, that growth to take those steps further. I love this. One thing, Alan, that I'd love for you to share is who you love to work with. in the work that you do. This will serve the world most definitely, but that sweet spot for you is what?
Christina.
Okay, that's something I've definitely given conscious thought to over the last year, as far as who is my target audience, who is the type of person that I absolutely love to share. And I really have to say that you people here, Sandra, Christina, everyone here fits directly into the people that I love to work with. I love working with people who themselves are working to inspire others. Because if I can inspire you, if I can help make you more effective, then by making you more effective, then you are able to inspire so many others. And it has that ripple effect that you guys have already mentioned, where it just spreads out across the entire world. And once we set this ripple in motion and give it the momentum that it needs to carry forward, we can literally change the world.
Man after my own heart, like I said, doing the work, doing the work. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, just love you, Ellen Tutt.
That's too why. There's a reason why he's here, right? Anybody else in the audience? Do you have questions or comments? Go ahead, Jackie.
Alan, I love the concept of cycle because I would normally say you do it as you have your vision and become intimate with it, right? So every day you put yourself into it. So when you become the person in that vision, the universe has no choice but to, give it to you. So, but I never thought of it as a cycle. So I love that concept. It's easier to relate to. And
Right.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, when we approach it as a cycle and it becomes a regular pattern, there's a part of us that anticipates that part of the process and it already prepares itself so that when we go into it, we're going into it in a more pure form than if it's just a random thing that we do once in a while.
Love that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? It has been really quite splendid. Christina and I were just having a chat about you the other day, Alan, and we love that we have met you. We've been in circles with you, and love that you're continuing to be on this incredible journey with myself, with us, with the grand scheme of everything, and truly feel blessed for that. Really appreciate you being here, Alan.
And I also feel blessed by the association. So I am very happy to be here because I am getting as much out of it as I think I'm giving.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, that was the beautiful Alan Tutt. We have our first actual dragon person. Actually, believe it or not, Lily Lee is a dragon person as well. However, she was so excited to be offering the light language stuff at the beginning of the show today. So, yeah, and I just really love how we've flowed through all the different guest speakers and really, I'm hearing familiar threads and themes throughout it all. And it's my hope that there's pieces that are really resonating very deeply with you that will help you be growth in motion in a very magical and powerful way. Our next guest speaker is Viviana, and she is a dragon person. And her experience with dragons has been bordering, if you ask me, bordering on ridiculous because I envy her. I'm going to envy anybody about dragon experiences. Like hers has just been wow. However, you will have to come back in about 10 minutes to hear from her. Okay. So enjoy the break and we will see you shortly.